Game composer Ariasa here to talk about the Fantasy Noir Music Pack. This pack contains 8 different tracks. Each one has a full version and 1 or 2 alternate loopable versions. So that adds up to a grand total of 16 tracks. So again, that's 8 unique songs, but including all the different versions, the pack contains a total of 16 tracks. Now, I'm a huge fan of intrigue, and by that I mean fantasy intrigue. So genre-wise, your dark fantasy, gaslamp fantasy, magic punk, steampunk, whatever you want to call it. If you've seen the show Carnival Row, that kind of vibe. Or if you're a Dungeons & Dragons fan, Eberron. So this pack contains tracks that I've written for that genre, and I think it could work great in, say, a visual novel or any kind of narrative-driven adventure or RPG game. The Fantasy Noir Music Pack will be available on itch.io, Game Dev Market, Unity Asset Store, and the Unreal Asset Store. If they aren't in one of those stores at the time you're watching this, then that probably just means I'm still waiting for it to go through the approvals process. But here we go, let's take a look at each one. Alright, so no matter where you get this pack from, it should contain the following: the album art, here we go, a README that describes all the included tracks. So it includes their BPM, a short little blurb that I wrote that adds a little bit of context for what kind of scene or setting I was thinking of when I composed it. Also a little legend here that describes what the different versions mean. So full, which just means it's a standalone track, has a full intro ending, not seamlessly loopable, but can stand on its own as its own track. A loop can actually loop seamlessly forever. Typically, I have removed the intro section and maybe the ending was cut off such that it can transition straight back into the beginning of the loop. So if you just have the loop on repeat over and over, it should be able to loop seamlessly. Loop with intro is actually a very specific version of the loop. It actually is meant to be the first playthrough before you transition into the loop version. So that means it still has the intro section, but the ending of it has been cut off so that it can seamlessly transition into the loop version. And I think only the Cigar Smoke track in this pack has a loop with intro. So just think of that as like, that's the first go around, and then the loop version of Cigar Smoke should be the second go around and then continue to loop infinitely. So of course there's also then the tracks themselves. If you are downloading this from itch.io or Game Dev Market, you will probably be getting both the WAV file format and also the MP3 file format. Alright, if you purchase this from Unity, you should be able to import it into Unity through the Asset Store, and it should look something like this. All of the files should be under the Audio, Music, Fantasy Noir Music Pack directory. I have a very basic little demo scene where you can preview the tracks here. Nothing really fancy here, they're just hooked up to some simple audio sources. And in the browser, you should also see within this directory the WAV files here, as well as the album art and also the README. Alright, and finally, if you purchased this from Unreal, you should see 2 different directories in your content browser: the Cues folder and the Waves folder. Waves is as you would expect, it contains all of the Waves files, and the Cues directory actually includes a sound cue for each of the tracks, and there should be 16 in total, already pre-connected. For tracks that are loops, they are already set to looping and should loop seamlessly, with the exception of track number 2, which is, again, the Cigar Smoke loop with intro. That should just be the first playthrough. But here you can see they're already set to looping. It should be able to play through seamlessly. Now, Unreal has some pretty specific guidelines, so it doesn't really come with a README. However, you can always get the README on my website, www.ariasamusic.com, or download it for free from the itch.io page as well. Anyway, that's it for the overview. I hope you enjoy this pack as much as I enjoyed composing it. Okay, one last note about YouTube Content ID. Some of the tracks, namely the last 6 tracks in this music pack, have been registered on Content ID. This is my mistake from years ago before I realized that this would become a problem. If you would like to use any of these tracks in your YouTube videos and be able to monetize them, just send me an email, it's in the description, and put the link to your YouTube video in there. and I can add that to the list so that you can monetize your video using these tracks. Okay, that's all. Now the video is actually done. Bye-bye.